Oh, come here, boy. Come here.
I got pushed off the screen.
Get over here. What are you doing?
Morning.
How's it going?
Doing well.
That was fun. A little trailer for our Farmcraft project.
Yeah.
You like that? Yeah, I had to figure out which way to turn my chair so I'm looking at you on screen. So
I gotta go this way.
yeah.
You're working.
Cool.
Hi, Joe. Good to see you this morning or afternoon.
Good to see you. Good to see you. We had some snow yesterday, right? Did you get a lot? We
got like 6 inches in some of the drifts. We got about 4 inches kind of everywhere else. So yeah, it came down pretty hard. It was kind of good.
Yeah, I feel like we got spared. I looked at some of these clips from people in Denver that were 15 inches of snow and stuff like that. I don't know what happened there.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's fun stuff.
Yep. Yeah. School got canceled in some places, even though we're all like remote.
Yeah. You know what's funny is my son's school is like they immediately, as soon as this first snowflake fell, they're like remote learning tomorrow, and then the other schools canceled, so there was nothing, so he didn't even get a snow day, even though he could have had it, but he didn't get it.
Yeah, I was out there shoveling snow. It was good times. It was good times.
Yeah, good for you. Strong like bull. Strong like bull.
Yes.
So I was thinking about doing some. I know we kind of talked about this. I feel like messing around with some Lego Mindstorm robots one of these days, but I didn't. I didn't want to do that today.
Executive decision made.
Yeah. It's I got to get the batteries charged and all that stuff. So we'll do that another time. But I definitely want to have come up with a good project for a robot and show people like how to build Lego Mindstorm robots and code them and stuff like that. It's also a fun project. I have good times with those guys. So I thought today, since I'm so busy, I would use this time to get some work done.
Oh, sneak peek stuff, huh?
Yeah, how do you like that? So I figured there's a couple of tweaks that I kind of left on the list for later. And I'm like, well, why don't I do them on the stream? And then this way everybody else gets to see it.
Ooh. All
right. So
we get an in-depth look at how game design is actually made. All right. Here we go.
This is where the hair falling out happens. Okay. So I'm going to go into my world here. And we'll have a little look-see here. I changed the particle here to have the little talking dialogue. Move it next to the head. It stays below the label there, the name tag. How you like that?
I like that. That's actually really clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet, man.
And more noticeable. We got our cool
best tractor ever.
Oh yeah, the Cleverlike 1000 harvester. Yeah.
Big shout out to our artist that put that together.
Yep.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, he's my hero. He's my Santa Claus. All you guys are my Santa Claus. Love showing up to work and getting these gifts to work with. So we got our cool little gator here and our farming crops. So I figured there's one thing I want to do is get this harvester to if you move, you see the blades don't move. The first thing is let's try to get those blades spinning. Okay. We like the sound of that. So let me go into this resource pack, models, entity, harvester. Hello, harvester. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Now, if I go to animate, we have spikes, right? Let's see here. Drive. Okay, the drive animation is actually Molang, so it's not going to really show here because it has to be moving for that to work. So what we'll do is add, actually, so what you're doing when you're animating is you're basically moving bones. You could change the scale, the location, and the rotation of a bone, which, if you have subfolders, like harvester has wheel 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you were rotating harvester, that folder, essentially that bone will rotate everything underneath it. And that's called like parenting, basically. Parenting.
Parenting was only so easy.
Exactly. Just put your kids in a folder below you. That's all it takes.
And then everything you do, they do too.
I have some funny stories about that. Yeah.
I'm about to find out, I'm sure.
That's when I learned to watch my mouth. Yeah, what you say, those little kids, they really like to mirror that stuff. But that's funny. That's for another time. That's a different stream. So what we're going to do here is, I believe it's the spikes. Let's click on. Oh, let's see if we can hide them. Oh, no, there's the spikes right there. Okay. Rullo. Yes, our buddy. Okay, so this here, let's figure out the we have our pivot point. How's that pivot point look? That looks pretty good. Pretty good. So we have spikes here. I'm going to go way back to the beginning. And then you have rotation. What I am not seeing here. Let's go. There we go. Oh, I did spikes. Rulo. Rotation. And now, if we want to test it out here, I could see, look at that. So the x-axis, you could see on the left-hand side over here is moving as we rotate it. So we know this is kind of rotating on our x-axis to get this guy to spin. Okay. I'm not going to change anything in Blockbench. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Visual Studio Code, into the harvester, and we are going to look at the animation. Now remember, as a recap, the inside of the resource pack folder, let me scooch this over a little bit. Inside the resource pack folder, there's the resource pack, and it has animation controllers, animations, entity, models, particles, render controllers, text, textures. So these are kind of like the main folders inside of a resource pack. The entity, when you're creating custom entities, the entity folder is going to be your table of contents for each entity. So for the harvester, we click on that, and you could see now this is kind of it's pointing to all of the files inside of this pack that help us build and understand and render the harvester. So let's have a look here. We got our geometry, textures, materials, and then we have animation, which is animation geometry vehicle.drive. And then our animation is running drive when the query modified move speed is greater than 0.1. So what I found is, like, if you just do it like at 0, it spins too much, basically. So I want it, once it's slow enough, I want it to stop so that it doesn't have this after spin that is kind of like not proportional to the speed that it's going. So that's kind of why I do that. So what we're going to do is go to the animation, vehicle. Okay, cool. So we have, remember, so now we have bones wheel 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I click on this thing again, so Rollo was the bone that we want to animate. So what I'm going to do is go back to my code here, and I'm just going to copy one of these. What I like to do when I'm adding something like to the end, I like to grab the comma from above it down to this section here, and I do copy with Control C, and then I'll do Control V twice. So I'm doing Control V the first time because it's going to paste over the selection. It's going to replace the selection essentially with itself. Boom, that's once, and it keeps my cursor at the end, and now it's going to paste the comma and the remainder after. So we have a good formatted comma separated list, and it's highlighting our problem because it's duplicate. Change that to Rollo. And I'm going to make this move. The wheels are moving at this 45 multiplier relative to the speed. I'm going to make this like 20. What do you think of that, Galen?
I think it's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more thorough than I would have tried.
All right. So, did we save it? I think we did. Oh, and oh, look at that!
It's like magic. I can't. But what did you try to break it all?
It's a harvester. We're going to be harvesting.
What are you supposed to harvest this? Lord.
The sprinklers, yeah, I'm gonna have to make them go away. I make them appear for the. Okay, so that was fun. That's done. I'm glad that's done. So check out this guy here. If you go to him and say, "Hey, water the crops," then he turns on the sprinklers.
Oh, look at that! That's amazing.
Very cool. So the thing I'm going to have this guy do, there's the mechanics in the game where you can spray for pests, weeds, fertilizer, and water, basically. So this thing is going to have 4 functions. And so I was thinking we should try to change the particles. What do you think of that?
Sweet. I like that. Simple colors.
You had me at particle.
I mean, yeah, you really did. No
if
denying
you guys
that.
don't know, Gatlin he's a particle beast. He's part particle.
Particle.
He's part particle. Let's see here. All right. Back to this. So I am going to. Oh. So Azir says in Italy they're having spring weather. Nice.
Yeah. We're gonna get it. We just gotta wait a little longer.
I know. Well, we're in Denver. The secret is it's always beautiful here. And we get snow, and then we get 60, 70 degree weather, and then snow. And then you drive to the mountains if you want. All snow all the time in the winter. I heard that the tourist season is heavier in the summer in Colorado than in winter.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I believe it. I got a buddy that lives up in Leadville, and he says he affectionately calls it terrorist season.
Terrorist. Yeah. I guess that's the downside. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. So talk about, we had all kinds of names for him. It's hard to enjoy your own little peaceful area when everybody else is enjoying it at the same time. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to kind of dissect the particle effect situation that I have going on right now. So the water dealio is called All right, I'm in my behavior pack. I've got my entity. It's called water. And what I'm currently doing, I was messing around with a bunch of different things, so I forget where I left it. I think, yeah. Okay, so basically, if you apply blindness to the mob, it detects the blindness and it triggers the state to basically start watering. So that is how that goes. Let's see. Okay, so if you give it blind, okay. So if you give it blindness, then it becomes saddled. Okay, and this is like one of those attributes that it's that you can test for with Molang. So if it's saddled, then spray water. If it's not saddled, then don't spray water. And so if it's blind, make it saddled so it sprays water. When it's not blind, make it stop. So that's our on-off switch.
Interesting way to do that.
Yeah. And it would make sense to use like variants and things like that. But so maybe what we do is we leave the on-off switch, but we change it based on like some tag. Like maybe we give it a tag that says basically what kind of particle it should emit, and then we could use that tag to decide the particle color. So let's kind of test that over on the resource pack side. So I think the fact that we have it working here is actually might even be something we can get away with not touching at all. So I'm going to go into my particles, water particle. So that's the water particle, actually. Remember I told you this was giving me all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, the local space and world space, and yeah.
Yep. So getting it to emit from the entity and respect the fact that it's attached to the entity, but it's not controlled by the entity after it's been emitted, things like that, and getting the alignment right and the cast. But I think I did a nice job. I'm proud enough of it.
It's all theater, as long as it looks like as long as it has the essence of what you're trying to make. Really.
So what I was curious about was the color. I think first of all, like this particle, I might, is a texture, and you could see I made like little water droplets and things like that. So maybe we swap out the texture, because I'm thinking like for some of this stuff, I might not want to use that big of an image. But look at that. We could change the color tint.
Mm-hmm. So nice. So quick.
That could be really nice. Picking the right color is going to be tricky. So anyway, maybe what we'll do is we'll mess with the tint of this particle and see if we can. Oh, wouldn't that be genius? I wonder if we could. I've never done this before. I wonder if we could set the color in the tag so that it would use the tint. Okay, so I'm going to go to the open code here to get to the code view of it and just see. Here's our tinting. Okay, our color. Minecraft definition that results in a float Molang number. That's interesting. It's not an I guess it's an RGBA value here. So just for testing purposes, stop that. Okay. One. If I make them all one. And save it. Oh, okay. Interesting. Water particle JSON. Back to this. Yeah, you see how it's FFF 00. Okay, so 00 FF 00, so it should be 010. Yep, okay. So basically, it's a float between 0 and 1 for the 0 to 255 values of the color, which is quite interesting. Hey, Abhishek. Let's see. So what we're doing for anyone that's just joined is we are trying to we're trying to change the color of our particle effects that we use for our sprinklers. So we're looking at like kind of programmatically changing the tinting of the particles here. So I'm going to head over to good old bedrock.dev. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Molang. And what I want to do is I want to find out something to do. I want to figure out how to transmit a value, basically like picking up a value that we could tag to the entity.
Mm-hmm.
And which is interesting because the entity is not the particle. I'm scrolling quickly. Okay, this is what I'm looking to find. These list of queries are super helpful. We can look here. You know what I'm thinking, Gatlin, is I wonder. So what's interesting about this is the level at which you can control things. Like I can control the particle visibility in the particle itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We can also control, so like the particle appearance, the size. Like we could programmatically make the size 0 at any given time, and it would essentially make the particle disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The emitter is like the source of the particle, and then the particle has some movement, size, and direction. We could like choke the emitter, like stop the emitter, and that would stop the future particles from coming out. Now, there's also, if we go to, what are we at? Water. So I'm in the resource pack looking at the water entity, and you could see here we have an idle and a spray animation. Right? So let's see. What's up, Gods YT? So we've got see, we've got these separate animations here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to water, and I'm going to show you rotator. Where are you? Okay, water idle, water spray. Interesting. Yes. Okay. So it's either idle or spraying, which is the movement of the sprinkler. So it's either moving or not moving. This is not the thing. What I want is the model. So if you look at the model and go to water geometry, we have locators, water. Okay. And so we have a locator called water. Trying to kind of go through this systematically so we're getting it. Entity water. Okay, so we have a particle effect called water, and we have a locator in our model, which is also called water, right? So one of the things, so Gatlin, like one of the things we could do is we could change the particle definitions by actually tinting them, but saving them as separate files and then giving them different names. So we can call it like water, fertilizer, bugs, and weeds. Right. And then we have our, let's see, the animation controller for water. Look at that. So when it's watering, it's emitting the water particle effect from the water locator of the model. And so the real question here would be, can we detect, like, can we use this animation controller to trigger a different animation? You know, so we could say, okay, when it's saddled, it's definitely working, but what is the detail about what it's spraying, and how do we get that? Okay.
Speed chickens.
Nice. And exploding arrows. That's another. I was going to make. I was going to work on some exploding snowballs for a different project. But let's see how this goes. So let's see what we have here. So we have our working animation. It picks this particle effect. What I don't know is, you see how, yeah, we're going to have to probably have separate animations. So this guy uses, okay. How am I going to set the, I'll set the variant with a tag. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use blindness as our switch to turn the sprinkler on and off, but I'm going to use a variant, like a tag, basically, to determine what it's spraying. And so the behavior pack is going to detect which tag it has and which variant to set it to. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the variant to trigger a bunch of different animation controllers. So this is somewhat complicated. So we're going to have in the behavior, we're going to have currently blindness equals the on and the off, right? And so we're going to use the variant to make it to be water, fertilizer, pest, or weed. Pests and weeds. Be careful not to use. Okay, this is on Bedrock. It's actually Minecraft Education Edition, which is essentially like at Bedrock 114 like 114 basically. So the cool thing about this is there's no Java programming, and it's actually only most of it is just JSON, and JSON is even though it's got the JS and it's JavaScript object notation, it's not JavaScript programming. It's just a way of organizing information and attributes. So the way Bedrock works is you're mostly manipulating the attributes of entities rather than kind of recoding them. Although Molang is Mojang's programming language inside of these behavior packs and add-ons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to detect okay, the variant. So the tag, okay, it's going to be tag. There's a slash tag command that you could add to an entity. We're going to use that to fire up what the sprinkler is spraying. Okay, and then on the resource pack side, we are going to have a let's see, particles. I think, Gatlin, I'm going to take the easy route and just do different particles for each one. Particles. We're going to have water, fertilizer, pests, seeds. So we're going to have 4 separate particles. And then we're going to have, we're going to define them separately inside the basically our inventory or our table of contents for that entity. And then we need our animation controller. And so the way the animation controller is going to work, because right now the animation controller is kind of deciding when to turn the water on and off. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a compound. We're going to use an and. So we're going to say blindness and water equals the water particle. And then we'll do blindness and fertilizer equals the fertilizer particle. Make sense? So we're going to use those conditions to know when to spray and what to spray. And so now we just have to kind of go ahead and start setting those things up. I'll start with the we'll start with the resource pack stuff. So what I'm going to do, first of all, we're going to make some copies. We're going to make 4 particles. So this water particle, I'm going to go Control C, V, V, V. So we have our water. Oh, you have to rename. Water. We have fertilizer. Boom. Weeds. Okay. And we've got bugs, pests. What should we call them? Bugs. I think bugs is my short term in the map. So so let's go into these particles here and work on the tinting. Yeah, you see that's, remember that was giving us, maybe I have to save it. AIDS. Not going to save that one. Okay, and weeds, bugs. Let's try now. There we go. Okay, the bug spray. Let's pick. What should we make that?
Probably like a dark blue, almost purple. Yeah. Ooh,
yeah. You know, this is a okay, I'm going to go to Photoshop and we're going to open particles, textures, particle. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is make like a white version of this and maybe make them smaller as well so that we can tint it better. What do you think of that? So we could do a little grayscale dealio. Image mode.
You're making me cringe. Make it permanent.
Ew. Ew. What'd I do?
You made a new layer?
Yeah. All right. You didn't like me change the image. And I could just do like, what do you want me to do? Like
Yeah, go to the hue and saturation. There you go.
hue and saturation.
There you go. And you got sliders all day long.
Ew, sliders. Okay. So what about presets? Oh, you know. So do I just crank the saturation down to nothing?
There you go.
Okay.
Now you got a great one.
All right. The teacher has taught me. All right. I'm going to
Grab your notebook. You're gonna get schooled.
I'm so glad. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. All right. So I'm going to get my eraser. You might hate this too. Oh, on the layer. Interesting. So let's just is this dumb or what?
I'm glad you've got a backup. I'll just put it that way.
This is not the most efficient way of doing this, I'm sure, but I mean, there's 3 of them, so I'm the kind of guy that likes to, code solutions that don't need to be coded because it's fun. Oops. Pencil. Pick it up, put it down. All right. Okay, so they're a little smaller and they're grayscale. Are we happy enough with this? Do you think it probably should be lighter, don't you think? Like whiter?
Lighter? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Oh God, really? Just like that?
Just like that, bro. It's that easy.
Shoot. All right. Round of applause. Round of applause. See? You're forcing me to do things the right way.
I'm forcing you to do it in a non-linear. That way when I go back to fix it, I'm like, oh, cool, slider, done.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is export. I could do a quick export PNG. I don't ever use this one. I like the legacy one, but we're going to call this base, or we'll call it spray. Okay, and now let's go into our bugs texture, swap out our texture. I don't know if this is going to work.
Usually does. Yeah, there you go.
And so it's purple. I want to try to get pink.
Yeah, I think a lighter color is probably a better idea.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Gods is laughing at us. Just seeing us getting it on each other.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, pink bug spray.
It was like silly string that got caught in the spray thing and just came out in clumps.
Yeah. It's like Dippin' Dots meets cotton candy, everybody.
Dippin' Dots. Are those things still around? I guess they are.
I don't know. I mean, the live events is where I only ever saw them, so they probably took a hit.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I'm going to save that bugs particle. And now let's go to the fertilizer. The fertilizer texture. Spray. So fun. All right. I was thinking of like orangey, because you know what fertilizer is, right?
It's Tang.
It's Tang. That's basically, yeah, it's what astronauts drink. Okay.
It's full of electrolytes.
Yeah.
Plants love electrolytes.
There you go. No, poop was the correct answer. Poop, yes. That was the answer we were looking for. So I'm going to go with that for now, see how that looks. And then weeds. I mean, maybe should that be green? Or yellow? Maybe yellow? Let's see. Texture. spray.
Trying to think, are we going to be able to see yellow in the desert?
That's a good point. Little spoiler alert though. The desert doesn't have much of a weed problem in the algorithm. But yeah, I mean, show maybe kind of like a weird lime color. I mean, what else would we do? We could do. I don't want to do red and scary. I don't know.
Yeah,
I kinda,
the red's going to be a little.
yeah. Okay. Well, yellowish. I'll save it. We can always tweak it. All right. So, yeah, no, that's good. Okay. So we have created our particles. So, we use the same texture, but we tinted it for 3 of them, and the other one uses a different texture. So what I'm going to do is go into my water. No, ignore that. Into the entity folder, water. And remember, this is where we define all of our stuff. Ooh, yes. Where were you on that one? So particles, weeds. You can see it says water spray. We could say weed spray. Save. And then we could say fert spray. So a little tip here, the file names are essentially irrelevant. You could do whatever you want with the file names. It's these identifiers that matter. And I believe also the location is going to matter as well. Samuel, what's up?
Hello.
Bug spray. Yeah, that's fun. Bug spray.
Hey, a trick show.
Hey, what's going on? Trick show's a pro. Maybe some other pros in there, but Trick Show is obviously somebody we've known for a while. All right, welcome to the stream. We are we're about to. I think we did it. So we got bug spray, weed spray, fert spray, and we're going to our entity. We're going to the water entity, and we're going to essentially define Control C, Control V, 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 and then don't forget to add your commas when you're making a list. Add it to the last one. And then we're going to change this to fert, weeds, bugs, and then match them up with their correct identifier that we just created. So bug spray, weed spray, fert spray. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining, and hopefully you do get some value from it. So what we're doing, I'm going to save this and go back to, for people that are joining here. Boom, boom. Just kind of show where we're at. We have our sprinkler here, and it sprays water. It's turned on by the entity getting blindness given to it. That's what makes it spray. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it a variant that makes it spray a different type of thing based on which variant it gets when it's spraying. Do you see that last little spray there at the end?
Yeah, it's kind of like rocketed over there.
Did you notice? Yeah, you know what's happening? And what's happening is the animation is ending, but the emitter is not. Right? So the animation ends, boom, it resets back to the beginning, and then the emitter quits, but they're out of sync. So that's why we get this last little off to the side.
So you're telling me it's doing what it's told?
Yeah, I messed up somewhere.
Good to know. Good to know.
I had that problem somewhere else that I fixed. That I fixed. Oh yeah, remember with the hammer? Remember the sound effect was making the hoy sound at the end of the animation. Right? It's like something at the animation when it ends triggers another. The beginning of another sequence, but so I think that same exact thing happens. So, anywho, I mean, it's kind of fun. Anyway, that's my excuse, right? When you don't want to fix it, you just turn it into a feature. Okay, so that's a quick reminder of what we're in the middle of. And let's see where we're at in our little to-do list here. So I have made the particles, that off the list. Now, not only did I make the particle, but I added the particle to the entity. So we're going to give ourselves credit for that. Add to.
Hello, hello.
Man, I wish I could pronounce that. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
All right. So what am I doing? Okay. So now we're going to the animation controller. This will be fun. That's the animation controller. So the animation controller, think of it this way here, like separate that. Remember, with Visual Studio Code, you select a closing bracket. Like I want to find like where to kind of space these things out. So when I click on this bracket here or this one here, it'll put a square around it. Oh, and you could even, that was cool. If you mouse over, it highlights the section. So I know I can go here and kind of safely space them out. So this is like a visual way. So what's happening is the idle animation is our default animation. So I'm going to go back to water.json, and we have control, which is controller.animation.water. Okay. Controller.animation.water. That's the identifier for this animation controller, or this animation basically for this controller. And so the initial state is idling. And this name is referencing one of these names in quotes for the different animation states. So you can see states is containing idling and working. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be making we're going to go kind of like the brute force way and make separate animations based on what it's doing. So we'll be making copies of working, so we can do watering, fertilizing, bug spraying, and weed spraying.
Glad we could help.
Learned more on the joining the stream than an entire year of online school. That's good. We'll add that to the website. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, so with animation controller, it's going to you're going to be able to pick which animation it's running during that controller. And you're also going to be able to pick,
the light bulb.
No, still not going to do that. Okay. It's so interesting how these are intertwined, and you have to be really creative and you have to be thinking and understanding how they work to know how to manipulate them. So we're going to go idle is the default is the animation itself that was programmed in Blockbench, and the transitions section is basically what it's looking for to trigger it to do something else. So it's like, I'm going to do idle until you tell me otherwise. And so in this case, it's going to go to working when it is saddled. And now I'm going to change this to is saddled and query dot variant equals
Laters. Have a good week.
See ya. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Okay, so working. So we'll say watering, fertilizing, bug spraying, weed spraying. Okay, this is highlighted because I didn't put commas in yet. So let's just do those. And we'll change these values. It's interesting. The YouTube didn't notify you. Oh darn, man! Sorry, I didn't do a community post on YouTube. I don't think on this one, but hopefully you got those notifications telling you when we're live. So yeah, thanks for joining us, NNO. So interesting thing here. It's highlighting because I have curly braces. Curly braces define an object. And an object is like a list of properties. Usually it's like, the property and then its value. So you're going to see like property value, property value. In this case, we have, a value and it's kind of, it's conditioned. And it's part of an array. So you could see here we have, what I'm wondering is if we should do an array of objects or just do an array. So like if I get rid of this curly braces, now I have an array that's a list of things basically. So 4 possible states in transition. We can go more into what arrays are and how they work, but basically they're separate containers of the same type of thing. So we've got 4 of the same thing. And it is kind of not liking that. So I think I'm going to do an array of objects. Just simply do this. Give it curly braces. Give him the curly braces. The comfy chair. You've seen that Monty Python one where they're trying to torture a guy and they're like, give him the comfy chair.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Not the comfy chair. And like he's like not fazed by the comfy chair, so they pull out the pointed pillow and they get all the stuffing at the corner of the pillow and stab him with it.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. Man, I've seen a lot of Monty Python, but I've not seen that one.
It may have been the circus.
Flying Circus.
Flying Circus.
Good times. So NNO's got a question for you.
What's up?
So use of the dot bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know that one. I mean, this is more your land than mine.
Yeah, I have. You're talking about Bridge, which is like a tool that I believe Blue Code created. It's really cool and super helpful visual interface for doing stuff like this rather than coding. Definitely recommend checking that out. I do not work with Bridge.
Sounds like it'd be more up my alley.
Yeah, but that doesn't allow me to torture you. So.
Oh well, okay. Maybe I won't be using it in the future.
So remember how you didn't like me changing the image mode?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like if you use Bridge, that's what it's like. The cool thing about Bridge is that it makes things really easy, but I don't know if it's changed, but the downside is it kind of translates it all into its own environment. So like the way I work and the way you would work in Bridge, I think would have, if I wasn't working in Bridge, it would be a little more complicated. If I'm wrong about that, somebody let me know, but that's my understanding. So I'm building the separate animations now for which particle effects to show. So the effect, we have water, and then we have the fertilizer effect for the fertilizing, and then we have weed spraying. Oh, I like it. This is a little complicated, but if you're hanging in there, you're getting some interesting info here. Weed spraying and then bug spraying. Okay. And I'm getting some work done. Bugs, weeds. I should do this more often. This is great.
Well, it's also a bit of a sneak peek for what's coming too, which is fun.
Yeah, and yeah, there are little couple spoiler alerts in there too. Okay, so just to make sure, watering. So I have watering is this animation, and whenever the entity is not saddled, that's like when it's turned off. Then just switch back to the idling. So it doesn't need to check the variant there. It just needs to know, like, okay, I'm no longer saddled, I'm no longer spraying, then go back to idle and wait for instructions on what to spray next. We'll just have to remember in our code, we're going to have to remember to remove the tags when we're done. So turning it on is going to be giving it blindness and a variant. Turning it off is going to be removing the tag and removing the blindness effect. Which is going to be interesting. So the animation spray, that's the physical animation of the model. That's the spray head moving. And any accompanying sound effect that we end up adding, we could add in here as well. But we're going to keep the spray animation going. This is where, so Gatlin, I was like hesitating. This is why I was hesitating, because it's the same animation. I was wondering if we could kind of hijack the some other part of this and switch the particle because it's the same animation. We could have done the same thing, but since we've set up separate effects, so let's just make sure that everything's kind of centering back to the entity file. So help me remember, the effect is called water, effect fert, effect weeds, and effect bugs. So if we go here, water, fert, weeds, bugs. Okay, those are our those dealios. Now we have control idle spray as our animations, which are okay. Right. So animations are, the animation controller itself is defined as an animation. And then we have idling. No. Idle and spray. Those are the two animations that we use. Let's go back here. Idle, spray, and then control is the controller.
Got it.
Idle, spray. Everything's good. So we're picking up from the animations file, we're picking up that animation and calling it idle. And the animation controller is referencing that short name that we gave it to tap into that animation that's defined in the animations folder, which we don't have to worry about. Okay. So I kind of like that. I've got my particles attached. Just making sure I'm doing it right. This is like one of those things where when you start changing way too many things in a row.
But I haven't tested it.
Debugging is a nightmare, yeah. And so it's kind of tricky because the way I set it up is like it's a linkage between the behavior and the resource pack. So we kind of have to do this beast. But I think we're good. So we just need to change the variant of the entity. Okay.
Cool.
So, are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's see this thing. I'm excited.
So we go into water. Now there is in good old Bedrock Dev, we can go into entities and search for environment. That just reminded me of Unreal Engine. You have to know it's there to go find it, So environment sensor. Yeah, look at this incredible documentation here. Creates a trigger based on environment conditions and then a list of triggers. Let's say triggers, death, hurt, do. Not the best information there. Let's see. Environment sensor. So here's a test. Has mob effects. Let's go back to this, and I'm going to search F has mob effect. Okay, that's how we're testing for blindness. So I'm going to search for variant. Oh, tag has tag. Ah. So if it has a tag equal to a certain value, then we can trigger a different event, which could change the condition. So we're gonna use this kind of chain reaction to control what's going on here. So we have, let me shrink things up, component groups, because we're going to tap into all of these. Okay. Component groups are used to change the attributes of an entity kind of in real time. These are like not the things that are in components are like the things that are always there and not changing, right? So like the scale, this thing never changes size. So we put it in components. Now things that do need to be changing, you're going to want to kind of set up any, so if they're changing, that by definition means there's some condition upon which they'll change from one to the other, right? So we're going to use events to detect that, and we'll use component groups as our set of components to plug in at different events, right? So that's the anatomy of what we're doing. So I'm going to show you, let's first go into the component groups, and you can see here we have, I'm going to click this curly brace to find out where this one ends. That's where it ends right there. So, oops, that's the end of the component groups. I want this working component group, and then, yeah, this stopped one. Okay, yeah, that's good. So we have working and stopped. So what I want to do is probably have, so let's kind of borrow this one. Oh, that the timer. I just, I'm over onto the other problem we were having. I'm thinking if I change this to 9.99, I might have just fixed that problem.
Nice.
Okay, so
hack is real.
Yep. It's actually cool. Like, so now, all right, we might get a little bit of a benefit here. We might get rid of the blindness thing, because what we can do is we could say, all right, get your big brain. We're going to create a watering, a fertilizing, a bug spraying, and a weed spraying event, because remember, those all depend on the variant ID. And if we go back here, no, animation controller, these variants. So let's remember this. 1 is water, 2 is fertilizer, 3 is bugs, 4 is weeds. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say water, to copy, paste, water, fert, weeds, and then bugs.
Yep.
Oops. Fert. Weeds. Yep. Okay. And what's cool is the variant is something we can like here. variant. And then here we're going to have to say value colon okay. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm combining the two together. So the saddled, so I could essentially replace this just by using the tag. I could make it spray for the right amount of time, and these are all going to time down at 10 seconds. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So I'm going to copy this. Paste that, change it to 3. Oh, no, sir. No, sir, didn't like it.
You're a little overzealous there.
Yep. I think that was like an old Ren and Stimpy reference. No, sir, didn't like it. The horse, interviewing the horse. Okay, so stopped. Has mob effect blindness. Has tag. Okay. Yeah. So the cool thing is that I have set it to shut itself off. Right. So if we look at the event E stopped, if we go to here and we look at E stopped, it's going to remove these component groups. So what I'm going to do, you can see I have a square bracket here. And so this is an array, so I can just do a list of these. So I should be able to just kind of separate them. I won't have to do that object thing like I did before. So water, these are the component groups that we defined up above. This is, I want to yank them out, which would remove the variant. Weeds and then bugs. Okay. Okay, so when we're stopping, yank those out, and we're good to go. I do have, like, I'll point this out. There is some built-in events. So when the entity is spawned, it'll add stopped as a component group. So the interesting thing about that is that it needs to listen for what's going on. So I need my environment sensor to be working immediately from when it's born to when it's working. So we're going to say any of, see this here, any of. This is going to be a little complicated because we're going to have to do a multiple filters. Okay. What does this mod add to Education Edition? So just a quick preview. Actually, this will test to see if it doesn't work. It should not work, right? Yeah, it doesn't work. So these sprinklers, we're going to make them spray water, bug spray, fertilizer, or weed spray, which is different color particles as we go. And so we're using the tag, has tag. So let's just go weeds. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to say E weeds. So we have to have an event to trigger all these things. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to check for all of the different the different tags here. And then I'm going to have to trigger different events. So you can see we used to have E working, which is this one here, which puts the working one. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 of those. Copy C, 1, 2, 3, 4. right? And so we'll have E water, E fert, E weeds, E bugs. Okay, and then bugs, weeds, fert. That's cool. Fert and water and weeds all are just left-hand only words. That was fun.
It's the little things.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I keep my hand on my mouse the whole time. That was the weirdest thing. So these are referencing the component group definitions up above: water, fert, weeds, and bugs. And if I go up here, bugs, weeds, fert, water. Those are the different ones. This water turns on variant 1, fertilizer turns on variant 2, weeds turns on variant 3, bugs turns on variant 4. All of them will automatically shut off, which runs the E stopped. E is like short for event, so event stopped. And what that does is remove this whole deal and then reapply the stopped one, which starts to look for a new tag. So if the tag's not gone, then we're going to have to we're gonna have to remove it manually. So that's the interesting thing. It's just going to run indefinitely as long as it has the tag, which I actually kind of like that idea. Save. Tag feeds. What's the chances we actually get this working before time's up?
100% every time.
Yeah, 50% of the time it works every time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to tag this entity here, type equal water, and I'm just gonna, well, I guess we could do both of them. Add weeds. Oh, studs.
Told you.
Because you were proofing me. Yeah, there's the weed spray. Now, what's interesting,
like bubbles.
It looks a little, yeah, cotton candy bubble gum.
It kind of does.
So here's the interesting thing. It's not going to stop because we've actually created the mechanic that when it has the tag, it runs, and when it doesn't, it doesn't, which is actually pretty cool. So we technically don't really even need that timer anymore. So if I remove the tag now, we might have to wait up to 10 seconds. Oh, and let's see if it does that.
So yeah, back up and check the final spray issue.
It did it. Shut up.
So Rafty kind of to answer your question says that adding the insects to eat the crops and insecticides to kill them. It's more to just kind of keep them from showing up. As a game mechanic, you get to go out and whack yourself.
It's an interesting topic because there's some difficult subjects in this, like killing bugs, killing weeds, but the reality is that insects destroy crops and farmers use techniques to avoid them. And so this whole Farmcraft project is meant to talk about ways of improving farming, from biological engineering of seeds to how the decisions you make as a farmer. So the cool thing about this is that, like, if you're personally opposed to spraying your crops, you'll be able to make that decision in the game. And part of the way, so NASEF is running this with Department of State. It's a worldwide global competition. We've got hundreds of students in dozens of countries signed up to participate. And it's you play the game, you get a score, and then you post a video about what you did and why and how. And so it's really like this game is designed to get that conversation going. So you could say, I didn't want to spray the chemicals on my crops, so I decided to take care of the bugs by hand and remove them individually by hand. And I had this consequence as a result. And the hope is that if someone is not wanting to use chemicals and is realizing the struggle without them, that they might be the future person that comes up with a solution that accomplishes the more efficient farming with the desire to use less chemicals and things like that. So the game is going to allow you to make those decisions. Yeah, I mean, you could even go and destroy your whole crops and then deal with the fact that you have no crops. And what we want to do is put you in that position to think and learn. And I think that the goal of the project is to find out, like, who's going to be the next person to innovate this area, this industry. So I think it's pretty engaging and pretty interesting in that sense. So I'm tasked with creating a game that's fun and gives you a unique score based on your decisions, and then allows you to kind of talk about that and compare your information with other people from around the world. So that's the cool thing, is like, we're going to have students from around the world participating in 5 different biomes that all have different attributes. So the biome we're in right now is like more prone to weeds and bugs, and less. Its soil fertility is very good. Its water availability is very good. But there's other biomes, a desert style biome that has poor soil, poor water availability, but also because of that, it has less problems with weeds and less problems with bugs and things like that. So you get to experience kind of your decision making in all those different biomes, and then you get to share your ideas and insights with other students. And it's in a game, so like, you get to make the decisions and see the consequence, but it's safe, so you can experiment, make take guesses and try things out. So I think it's I'm excited for it. So it's fun to make the game that creates that conversation, and that's what we're doing. So cool. Yeah, thanks for kind of bringing that up. It's nice to talk about what the project is. So we have a time down event, which I don't know if I want to mess with that right now. We're so close. All right, I'm not going to mess with it right now. Let's finish getting all the different colors. So what do we have to do? Oh, right, we need this array. Okay, so our stopped, this guy here needs to have a list of filters, and that's, I'm kind of wondering if we, I'm not exactly sure where the array is going to go on this one. So filters, any of, let me see here. Bear with me 1 second. 1 second. Anybody else have any questions before we're done? We'll be done in the next 10 minutes here. Gatlin, you have any thoughts or comments on what's going on while I'm looking for this one thing?
No, I don't think I have anything. And one of the things that I might have, something that would be interesting to kind of expand upon is, instead of actually changing the different particles, actually just changing the colors. I know that was kind of rolling around in your head. I saw the thoughts moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that we could use the hex code and just give the tag, give the hex code tag and have it translate. But then, once there are 3 different values, I started getting a little nervous. But the cool thing is, like, those values, you can, you can pull them in from various things.
Rafty's got a question on there. It says, how would you make the sprayers spray weed killer or water or insecticides without the commands?
So the command I'm using, I'm applying the command to that entity, and the command that I'm using in this case is the tag command. So it's detecting tags basically. So like right here, let's see, triggers. Okay, so here I'm going to create an array of triggers. And where does this guy live? Right here. Okay. So I have now created the ability to kind of create sections of these things here. So I'm going to shrink this one up. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy, paste, paste, paste. I'm going to put my commas in, comma, 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 chameleon. Okay, sorry. I was listening to my 80s playlist. I actually yesterday, so that's my reason. Okay, water. If it's water, then run the E water event. If it's FERT, run the E FERT event. If it's weeds, run weeds. If it's bugs, run the bugs event. Bugs. Okay. And the thing I'm foreseeing is that, yeah, like shutting it off, we still have our 10-second timer. You know what? Let's make it 1 second. I hate that pop-up. Why you put it right where my cursor is? Let's see if 1 second is still Gucci. Still Gucci. Save. Okay.
The heavy sigh.
I'm gonna be so excited to get this, like, have everybody join me as we're working these things. I definitely like appreciate the pressure of having to get this right on stream, which is also going to be recorded. All right, so let's say here we're going to add water. Ah, there's our water. And so if I remove it, it should, let's see if it stops within a second.
Look at that.
So let's add fertilizer. It looks so gross. That looks so gross. Yeah, am I going to make a GUI to change the output? Yeah, this NPC is going to control that. So the NPC, when you press the button, it's going to take care of that in the background. So so the NPC is kind of like your operator for the thing, and it's going to cost you money. That's the other cool thing about this game is that every decision you make has a cost to it, and you have a limited budget, so you can't do all of the good things. You have to kind of prioritize and deal with the consequences of limited time, limited budget. Time moves without stopping, and your budget is limited. So add weeds.
Look at that.
And remove. What do we use for bugs? Purple? Yeah.
I don't. It's been a while.
Oh, green, greenish, limeish, yellowish.
That really shows up though. That's
yeah.
Well, at least in this biome.
Right. Spraying for bugs. I mean, I thought about it. Coming out the sprinklers seems a little obnoxious, but we'll see. We'll see what the team thinks. This is the map. You can see there's the lab, which does the genetic engineering of seeds. That's where you could choose to invest in seeds that are more resilient for your biome, or just take the farmer's seeds that have been bred over generations and use those. But you have different biomes to compete in: an island biome, a desert biome, a cold biome, temperate biome, and this one is called the tropical biome. Each biome has its set of advantages and disadvantages, and they're different for each one. And you go through a simulation, basically going through, taking care of your soil. We'll do a playthrough maybe in a couple of weeks. Yeah, you would go through and play through and get a final result. You would end. The thing we didn't get to that I was kind of hoping to get to is turning the harvester into a crop destroyer, which is kind of like this guy right here. Summon caterpillar. So this guy right here kind of has the destroy block attribute turned on. Why so glum? Okay, yeah, there. See, whatever he touches, he destroys.
Glad they're here to help.
See?
Wait for it.
Oh, I might make the collision. Well, see, if you make the collision smaller, then it'll be harder to eliminate them. And the idea here is when the caterpillars come, and if you get all crazy, you start destroying all your crops trying to hit them. So you got to get to them and eliminate them. He ate the guy. So the eat. That's interesting that works. So he has the eat grass like sheep do. And I tried to make them eat the wheat, but they don't eat the wheat. They eat the grass though. So funny. Watch this though, Gatlin. This is something we need to fix.
Oh, keep it. That's beautiful.
Did you see the animation? How it
glitched apart.
I don't. Yeah. We gotta figure that out. But or I'll just make it disappear instantly when you hit it, so it's not dead. It's more captured. Pleasant. It's a pleasant death. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, lots of good stuff today. Holy moly!
I got some work done.
You did. What
have you been doing?
I've been.
Don't tell me.
Warm over here is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I get your hood on and everything. Seriously. Cool. All right. Well, perfect timing. We got our various sprays working. What else? What did we do first? Oh, we got the harvester.
Yeah, and the harvester, exactly.
Shoot. I might just keep this going and work like this all the time. It's like some of my most productive time with you guys.
It's the pressure.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate that. All right. Is there any questions that we missed, or are we good to go?
We covered them all. We got everything in there. So
cool. All right. As per usual, make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff, and drop a like, share it, look for our tweets and things like that. So if you want to stay up to date on this, make sure you have those notifications turned on, and also check our Twitter. I try to post as much before as I can, and we do this every Friday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. On Wednesdays, we do the Gatlin coding 3D. What's the correct name for that one? It's
awesome.
Yeah, we do a 3D stuff in Unreal Engine with Gatlin on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. So it's a lot of cool stuff there, and there's other things to be done here. Mm-hmm. Make sure if you have any questions, share some comments in. YouTube would be the best place to post your comments and stay in touch with us, kind of in between videos. But Mr. Eskimo, I guess you'll have to play the cold biome when so it could be real. 3D modeling, yeah. We could do a block bench jam session too. That would be kind of fun. Like get Aegir in here and just all like share screen, bounce back and forth.
Yeah, that'd be good
fun. And by that I mean share your screens. And you've seen my work at the hammer. The mailbox. The angry mailbox. Yeah, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. We will see you on the next one. Thanks, Gatlin, for being here. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, see you guys. Bye.